Your presence has been detected.
Welcome to Monster Magazine Weekly. The only show that isn't weekly but no one really cares. This week the gentlemen discuss Halloween-themed episodes of regular television programs because that's how they roll. Joining us in the mausoleum are Ricky, Zombie, Blaylock, Vince, Godzilla, Caplee, and David, Dracula, Walker, and our very special guest host Spider Island Slim Carody. And now let's get to the wooden stake point, shall we, and start tonight's show.
And go. Welcome to Monster Magazine, the only show that isn't weekly, but we don't care because we really don't care. In the room is me, Vance Capley, and
Ricky Blaylock.
David Walker.
And we're joined by a always super cool special guest, Slim Carody. Woo!
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about some really cool things, and one of the cool things we're going to talk about is David Walker suggested this, and the idea is normal TV shows with their Halloween episodes, but we're going to talk about like our favorites or the most memorable, blah, 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 blah. You know what we're talking about. So here we go. David, I'll let you get the ball rolling there, Chief.
All right, we're talking about regular TV shows, sitcoms, any type of show. The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, any kind of show that has episodes that are on the spooky side.
But not spooky shows with...
Not spooky
Oh,
shows.
What happened?
We just lost Slim. Fire it up again. What does it say?
New software is available from Apple.
Are you kidding me? It has nothing to do with what we're doing.
Guys?
It's no problem.
I think it was on our end.
I fixed them with a shovel.
Okay, good. The shovel fixes everything.
There you go. Okay, so David, what is one of yours? Since it's your idea, what you got for us here?
Well, I always liked the Roseanne Halloween episodes. That was kind of a tradition on Roseanne. And, of course, there are the perennial Halloween episodes, Treehouse of Horror of The Simpsons.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And apparently, Tim Allen likes Halloween because both of his big TV shows have had pretty regular Halloween episodes, and they're usually pretty good. I'm rather fond of the particular Halloween episode of Kate and Allie with Susan St. James and Jane Hurton that is on several YouTube Halloween sitcom channels. It's really very well written, and it builds up quite ahead of a real sense of atmosphere and mysteriousness, and you almost think, I don't see how they're going to explain all this seemingly supernatural stuff away. And they don't exactly explain it away very well, but up to that very end point, it's a really good episode. And there's an episode of Lassie from the 50s, black and white Lassie, called The Witch, that has to do with an old lady who lives not too far from Lassie, and the little boy what's his name in Lassie?
Jeff.
Jeff Scully.
Jeff.
He and his buddy think she's a witch, and it really is a good episode. And at the end of it, when you think that the witch has been debunked as just a normal eccentric lady, there's a scene at night when they look up into the sky, and it literally has a nice visual effect of a witch on a broomstick, riding past the moonlit horizon.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was a nice one.
Well, those are some good pulls. I remember Kate and Allie. I watched it. I don't remember a thing about it, but I know as a little kid I watched that one.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. It's on any number of channels.
Speaking of not remembering, there was I can't tell you a thing about it, but I know there was a Dennis the Menace, either Halloween episode or I want to say it was a Halloween episode or just spooky episode that creeped me out something fierce as a youngin'.
Do you remember any of the details from it?
I just remember him and his buddy like off somewhere where they weren't supposed to be trick-or-treating or trying to trick-or-treat and getting lost or something like that. This was back in the Nick at Night days in the 80s, so it's been a long time.
Thank God for Nick at Night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's up on some of these YouTube channels, the Halloween sitcom channels that are on YouTube. I need to go back and watch that.
You know, I should have spent my day watching some of these rather than watching Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, no, you did the right thing.
You did the right,
Yeah, the
you're
right
fine,
thing.
man. We'll come back to
He
that.
said that Johann Schmidt guy angers me so much.
We've had a lot of response over Mr. Johann Schmidt's comments in the current issue of Monster Magazine over Bride of Frankenstein, but we'll come back to that in a minute. But let's get on with the show now. Ricky, Halloween show.
Ooh.
Regular show with a Halloween
Of course, this Treehouse of Terror.
horror.
Gosh, there's so many because I mean they've all got to where they all do it now.
Yeah, but we'll pick a favorite, one that you stays
Well,
in your
does
mind.
anybody remember one? Remember that Gene Wilder show? I guess
Yeah, Something Wilder. I believe
Something
it was
Wilder.
called.
Yeah.
There was a Halloween episode where Alice Cooper was his neighbor.
Oh, cool.
And at the end, he ended up in the Alice Cooper video. Remember, he had
Yeah.
the Coop makeup on?
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was a good show, too.
It didn't last long, though, sadly.
No.
And then there's some good. I'm trying to think of some of the. There's according to the Jim Halloween episode.
Yeah, there are a couple of
Okay.
those that are good.
That one was a good one, where they were dressed up like Kiss.
Right.
I really enjoy the way Ricky says kiss.
K.S.
Kiss, yeah. It takes me back. Makes me homesick.
Used to fight with Freddie over who was the best, Alice Cooper or Kiss.
K.S.
Kiss.
Well, I mean, the answer's obviously Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah.
There's a Facts of Life episode that's on YouTube, where they're working in their little bakery,
I saw that one. I like that.
and the girls become convinced that the lady who is their guardian, what's her name?
Mrs. Garrett.
Miss Garrett.
Yes. That she has become a psycho killer, a
Yeah.
knife stabber, and that one works up a nice sense of sinisterness and danger.
Oh, she looks the part, too. I could totally see that.
There's something about taking a world that we've become very used to in a sitcom. I like sitcoms, and I like good sitcoms, obviously. But I think one of the comforting pleasures of sitcoms is we can always go back to that place and those
Yeah.
same people, and it's always the same 2 or 3 rooms. Can you hear me?
You still with us?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just X that little thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can go back there every day or every week, depending on if we're watching it in syndication. And suddenly when the supernatural or, some sense of mystery and danger comes into that show, it almost has an extra intensity to it because that's not what we normally see, and we're used to these people in very ordinary day-to-day circumstances.
Well, I think we talked about it last time we potted it off camera, but there was that spooky episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yes.
That was so spooky back in the day, and just like you were saying, in such a non-spooky kind of show.
Right.
Maybe that made it even spookier, but I just remember that episode. Can't tell you what it was about, but I remember being so freaked out as a kid by it.
I know Dick Van Dyke's really big into Halloween. There used to be a show, History Channel, Discovery Channel, or something about that place out in Greeley, Colorado it's called Distortions Unlimited. They make Halloween props and masks and stuff.
I remember them, yeah.
They made this big animatronic thing for Dick Van Dyke for his Halloween at his house.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was really neat.
I wish I'd seen that.
You can probably YouTube it. They've got a YouTube channel.
One of the for me, the one that just, if I'm just going to pick one because I can go on all night with this stuff, but the one that touches me, touches my heart, and also Halloween fun and whatever, is the episode of Night Court where he meets a real witch.
Yes.
And I just kind of like that whole vibe, because he's such a quirky kind of judge and whatever, and, he meets her and, they're really hitting it off. And then, she says, I'm a witch, and I love the part, at the very end of it, spoilers for a show that was made in the 80s. Really? No? Okay, anyway. Where she has that flash powder on her hands and points and boom, But that's if I have to pick one. But I remember so many shows like Happy Days had their Halloween episode, and one of my favorite ones was the one about the curse, the Delvecchio eye.
Oh yes.
Oh my God, that was so good. And then their other one where they went to a Halloween party, and that was really good too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Did y'all see the episode of the Goldbergs that had Freddy Krueger in it?
I don't.
No.
That was pretty good. Did you see that one, Slim?
I didn't. I heard a lot about it, but that's not a show I watch, so I didn't want to just kind of pick up in the middle somewhere.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love that show. I can totally relate to it.
Well, what about you, Slim? We're sitting over here rambling like crazy people. What is for you?
Oh gosh, like you, I have a bunch, but the one that sticks out to me the most, simply because it's my favorite sitcom of all time, and that's Wings.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that show, people, like, if you go back and watch it, it was so ahead of its time in so many ways, and it holds up so well. But they had a Halloween episode, it was either the second to last or last season, where there's a medical courier, and he leaves a cooler, which they think is a senator's heart. And the whole episode is them kind of in Halloween costumes trying to get this senator's heart to a hospital for an emergency operation.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that one?
No, I don't remember that one.
I would love to see it.
But then
Hilarious.
turns out that they had the wrong cooler, and it wasn't a senator's heart. It was actually how do I put this PG rated? It was a specimen from a stud horse.
Oh.
And so they rushed it to this emergency room in Boston, and they're all proud of themselves in their Halloween costumes. It's a great episode.
Oh my gosh.
Another really good one. Is this limited to just non-spooky shows with spooky stuff on it?
No, not necessarily.
Nah, we have no rules. We're just right.
But I don't want Vance to beat me with the shovel if I get out of line.
You better say it now, or I'll get the shovel.
I was going to say, Buffy the Vampire Slayer had some great Halloween episodes.
What were some that you recall?
Well, there's the one, it's an early one, where there's that curse or whatever, and they actually turn into their Halloween costumes.
Oh, yes. Yes, I've read about that one.
Yeah, it's a good episode. Like, Xander is dressed as a military guy, so he turns into a soldier, and it's fun. So it's a really funny episode. It was, Buffy the Vampire Slayer had a great mix of serious with comedy, and it was one of the more comedic episodes. And I think that's why it really stands out, because not only was it a Halloween episode on a spooky type show, but it was a funny Halloween episode on a spooky type show.
Perfect.
Well, that's the same kind of thing happened on Supernatural.
They've had some great funny episodes on there, like the Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the one where the whole episode was in black and white, and it was the old Universal monsters.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, they had another really good one where they came into the real world, where they're actors and Supernatural was a show, and everyone's all obnoxious. That was good stuff too. And then Buffy had another good one where it was a school when they first started college. So I guess that would have been season 4. Yeah, I know the Buffy seasons. But they just started college and they went to that Halloween party. And a demon had accidentally been summoned in the haunted house. And the haunted house turned into a real haunted house. And then when they finally got upstairs and found the demon, it was only like a foot tall.
Huh.
Or not even that tall. It was tiny. And then the picture in the book, there was a caption that said something like actual height of the drawing in the book.
I'd love to see that episode.
Was it a gnome? Was it a gnome of some sort?
It was not a gnome. let's not talk about that. We're supposed to be having a good time here.
If you've seen Slim's latest episode, you'll get that.
Yeah, if you haven't, go watch it now. Pause this, open another window screen, and look at it. Good stuff.
I went in ready for battle. I was not expecting what happened.
There's a link.
And then
I'm going to put a link for your video that we're talking about in the description below.
Ah, yes. And then another good Halloween one that pops into mind, which is unfortunate because it was somewhat, I guess, considered offensive, and so it was cut after the initial airing, and it wasn't released on the box set, and it's never been seen again. But there was a Halloween episode of The Office where just the kind of beginning skit was their Halloween party, and Michael, like, faked where he was hanging himself, and people got really offended, and so it's forever lost, basically.
Really?
Huh.
But Jim, you know, the whole... Did y'all watch The Office?
I watched some of it,
off and on.
Well, you know, Jim's kind of thing. They did a bunch of Halloween episodes where it was that he didn't like to wear costumes,
Right.
so he just wrote the word book in marker across his face.
Yeah.
He was Facebook.
Right.
And Dwight was like, book face? What's book
Oh,
face?
jeez.
So did
But
you
I-
ever see that bit from that was cut forever?
And as far as I know, it is gone. Like, when they released the box set, it wasn't on there.
Did you ever
They
see
didn't show it in reruns. I just saw it live. That's the only reason. It's just that scene was so memorable. I remember it.
Before we go, I just remembered a really great episode of King of Queens.
Oh, yeah.
There were some good ones on that.
Yeah, there's a Halloween episode where I think they put up some decorations for Halloween in the house, and Kevin, what's his name? The guy who stars in it?
Dang it.
Kevin James.
There you go.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, his character's father-in-law, played by Jerry Stiller, who lives down in the basement. He comes up, and the moment he sees one of these Halloween pumpkins or whatever, he just screams and takes off running. And it turns out he has like a
Phobia?
like a hysterical phobia of Halloween. And he winds up having a heart attack and having to go to the hospital. And it's a hilarious episode, but of course we find out in flashbacks why his childhood experience that caused him to have this horrible episode. And it's really quite clever and well thought out. I highly recommend that one.
He was my favorite character on the show, pretty much. Him and I liked Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
We have just a few seconds left because my camera is kind of janky. I'm sorry, y'all. But I want to touch base on a few things real quick. One of them, Slim got to watch Bride of Frankenstein today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as you know, in our current issue, we had Johann Schmidt, who is now one of the most hated writers in America, apparently. And then we also have Will Capel, who defends the film while Johann Schmidt tore it apart. Slim, what is your view on Bride of Frankenstein?
Ooh, yeah, on the spot. I liked it.
There you go.
I liked it.
And Johann gets 2 thumbs down.
Yeah,
I think Bride of Frankenstein is probably my third favorite in the series.
Now,
what's 1 and 2? What are 1 and 2?
Surprisingly, I think it goes Son, Ghost, Bride, Original.
wow.
Well, so you like Ghost a lot, which you
Yeah, I
just
did.
saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Bella. I thought his Igor character was really cool.
Oh, yes.
I wish they had let him carry that over into Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Yeah, I think the movie would have a much better reputation if they hadn't messed with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, surprisingly, I thought it was odd because in Ghost, that was Lon Chaney Jr. playing the monster, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did he keep his eyes closed all the time?
He was blind. At the end of the story, he was blind, remember?
Well, yeah, at the end, but even before the end, his eyes were closed through a good chunk of the...
Well, it's probably because he had been drinking. He drank constantly, so he probably couldn't open his eyes. Jeez.
But, you know, in my ranking, even though I put the original fourth, I mean, it's still 4 great movies. So even fourth place, I mean, that's still think very highly of the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely, yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, we just want to say, pick up the magazine, look at the counterpoint argument. It's not bad. It's just two different views of a movie. Check it out. You know, the magazine is not very expensive. You can get it on Lulu.com right now, and we're trying to get it on Indie Planet, and we also have signed editions at AdvancedCatholicArt.com. And so that's out of the way. Now, quick update. Rick's show in the first part of June has been canceled in Knoxville, Tennessee.
It's been postponed. Not canceled.
Well, canceled for this date. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they're going to redo it and then find another date for it. We are still on for June the 8th. It's still happening here in Columbia, Tennessee. So that's there and there. And at this show, June the 8th, Dave Good's going to be there, one of our magazine writers. He'll be there. And he's like, you know, the guy who writes comics about judo gorillas and half-naked ladies. Dave Good. And then we have Dave Walker, who also writes articles and reviews in our magazine. He'll be there. Ricky Blaylock will be there. I'll be there. Convention reviewer Mark Ballard will be there. So you could pick up magazines from us and just go around, just make the loot and get a lot of people to sign it. So it'll be a lot of fun.
And if we have the capability to, we may see if we can get Slim there.
Yeah, I don't
over the phone.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, because we do have Skype on the phone,
yeah.
But I don't know how that would work.
We're going to try. Yeah, that's going to be. Remember, we tried to use internet over there before. It's in the armory, and it's like an aluminum metal building. It's hard to get signals, so maybe we'll hit it lucky.
But I have a better phone now.
Yeah. So maybe.
And I may be able to turn my phone into a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Cool.
And we can Skype on the iPad. Okay. Well, no, we can't Skype on the iPad because my iPad is so old. Right. I can't get a good version.
Okay. Anyway.
We can Skype over the phone and then have audio.
Okay, what he said. Now,
yes.
So we're going to have to wind it up, as I said, because my camera's all janky and jacked up and junk. But Slim.
Yes, sir.
We really appreciate every time you come on and talk to us, and it just tickles us to death. And all the little references and little hints and jokes you do for us, Sasquatch. And we also love so much that you take the time just to mention our little fanzine magazine, whatever you want to call it. And we really do appreciate you, man. You have no idea, man. We appreciate it.
And thanks for the shout out about the sketch card.
Oh, no problem. And when you guys are making millions off the magazine and Ricky is the next Basil Go-Go's, don't forget me.
Oh, yeah, you're in, man. You're in. Now, real quick, if you like Ricky Blaylock's artwork, retweet it with a hashtag of famous monsters. What we're trying to do is help Ricky get on with Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. He is a really good artist. Look at his artwork. It's on the covers of our books. It's all over the web. Retweet his artwork. Hashtag Famous Monsters. And just go nuts with it. We thank you all so much for joining us this week.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the other side of the graveyard. Good night.
Good night.
May your pants always be filled with marshmallows.
Yay. Good night, Slim.
As the great man said.
Yeah.
Good night, Slim.
There we go.
Spider Island Slim can be seen on his very own YouTube channel, Midnight Monster Party. Watching, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Visit AdvancedCatholicArt.com to order Monster magazine. Good night, good fright, and unpleasant dreams.